What's up guys, Matt Laidlaw here, coming to you from the oldest, largest, and finest Harley-Davidson dealership in the greater Los Angeles area, Laidlaw's Harley-Davidson. So I'm excited, we've got our very first Iron 1200. This is one of two of the newest models that are in the Harley-Davidson lineup. This bike was introduced alongside the 48 Special a little over a month ago now. So I'm excited to take this bike out with Andrew, and we're gonna compare it to the old Iron, the Iron 883, and we're gonna kind of talk about the differences between the two models and give you guys our thoughts on it.
On February 21st, 2018, Harley-Davidson announced the two newest motorcycles to the Harley-Davidson lineup. So the first one is the Iron 1200, and the second one is the 48 Special. These are both variations to very popular Sportster models. The Iron 1200 has been a very popular model since its first introduction in 2009. The Iron kind of came on the heels of a bike that I feel revolutionized the styling points moving forward for the Harley-Davidson Motor Company, and that bike was the Nightster that came out in 2007. The Nightster was the first bike to really change the entire image of the Sportsters from these chromed out classic looking bikes to a real dark custom bobber look. So ever since the Nightster, I feel like that's kind of been the image and the style that has really made these Sportsters successful in the last decade. So the styling is very noticeable when you first look at it, and right now I'm scrolling through some pictures of bikes that were made in the AMF days. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the AMF days, I thought I'd spend just a couple minutes just talking about that real quick. So AMF stands for the American Machine Foundry, and in 1969 Harley-Davidson was basically bankrupt. They were on the brink of closing their doors, and so they sold the company to AMF. AMF was real popular for just selling a variety of sporting goods during that time, most notably bowling supplies and bowling alley equipment. And during that time, the Harley-Davidson motorcycles really got a bad reputation for not very good quality control, and so a lot of the motorcycles had issues, and I feel like this time period is something that Harley-Davidson deals with even today, with the perception that some people have about Harley-Davidson motorcycles and them not being very reliable. All those negative feelings, I think, can be traced back to the AMF days during the 70s. And it's interesting, when we first got this motorcycle, when my dad first laid eyes on it, he remembers the days of selling during the AMF years, and he sold a lot of bikes during those years with this type of graphic on it. So yeah, it's definitely a notable time in Harley-Davidson's history. So during that time, they got into like snowmobiles and golf carts and a few other things during that time. And in 1981, Von Beals and Willie G. Davidson got a group of investors together, and they purchased the company back from AMF for $80 million. And kind of the rest is history. The company really took off after that point. That's when they came out with like the FXR, and there was an antitrust lawsuit against Japanese motorcycle manufacturers that really helped the turnaround for Harley-Davidson during those years. And so it was a big turning point for Harley-Davidson as a whole. So let's get back to the subject at hand. I'm going to point out some of the differences between the Iron 1200 and the Iron 883. So start off with the seat. It's a solo seat. It's got kind of a cross-stitch perforated pattern in it. It's kind of a cafe racer style seat. A couple years ago, Harley-Davidson introduced this seat in the parts and accessory catalog, so it's not a brand new Harley part for this bike. It's the first time this seat's ever been offered on an OEM bike. Kind of a cool little cafe style seat. As far as finishes on the engine, it's pretty much identical to the regular Iron. You've got like this wrinkled black textured finish on the inner and outer primary, the cylinders, and the rocker box covers. Here's a shot of the wheels. The wheels are slightly different. These wheels on the Iron 1200 are all black. On the regular Iron, you've got like this aluminum highlight where the spokes meet the rim. You've got these little gator guards at the top of the fork tubes. Some people ask me if these serve a functional purpose. They do. If you get in real dusty, sandy areas, they prevent sand and grime, getting where the fork seals are. And so you protect the fork seals from road debris and such. So same ignition and everything as other Sportsters. Key on the right, a couple clicks clockwise, turn on the bike, neutral indicator there. There's a this little button there will cycle your digital display on your speedometer. So you've got a gear and RPM setting. You can see what gear you're in and what RPM you're running your odometer, your trip A. You have a trip B as well. If you hold the button down, it zeroes out these trip meters, as I'm showing there, and you got a clock there. Very, very simplistic. And your right and left turn signals, they are self-canceling. This is your run switch there. And then your starter button here. So you got the emergency flashers right here. It's a button that has a little triangle on it, and the emergency flashers will stay on with the ignition off. So you press them, turn the ignition off. To turn the flashers off, you have to have the ignition on though. And you got your high and low beam. The indicator for the high-low beam is right there left of the neutral lamp. And that's pretty much it, guys. These are pretty simplistic as far as like the functions and the controls of the bike. You do have a fork lock on this motorcycle, so turn the bars to the left, put the key in here in the fork lock, give it about a quarter turn, and you lock up the fork. So you'll want to take your key with you, obviously. So you've got the ignition as one point of security, you've got the fork lock, and then this bike also has the option of the electronic security for $395. If you get that, you basically removes the ignition from the side of the bike, and you just flip the run switch and the ignition starts up as long as that electronic key fob is within range. So a couple people miring in the background there. So main differences between this and the regular iron, I'm going to kind of show you a comparison shot between the two. So really the ape hanger bars, the fairing, the fact that it's a 1200cc engine, and a couple little small details in the finishes of the bike. So as you can see on the iron here, it's got that paint graphic that came out in 2016, the eagle holding the iron shield there. Here's a shot of the seat. This is a tuck and roll seat, came out in the 2016 model year when they redesigned a lot of the Sportsters. So the seat is very much different. As far as comfort wise, they're about the same in my opinion. It's pretty close. I feel like the new seat on the Iron 1200 kind of holds you into place a little bit better. So here's a shot of the wheel. You can see those aluminum highlights on the wheel on this regular iron, and on the 1200 iron it's just all black. Also, and you can see another shot of the bars there. So this is a regular, pretty mellow rise to it. I mean, it's almost a drag bar. The instrumentation cluster there is identical on both bikes, but this really gives you an idea of the bars. Me, at my height, I really prefer the mini ape hanger bar, obviously. The Iron 1200 has that fairing on there as well. Harley calls it a speed screen. It's very similar size to like the Street 750 speed screen, but some people call it bikini fairing or mini fairing. Anyway, so you can see on the rocker box covers you have the raw aluminum highlights on the regular iron, and then on the Iron 1200 it's just black. The push rod tubes on both are chrome to kind of highlight the push rod tubes. But you got the finishes. The bars are different. Obviously one's a 1200cc, the other one's an 883, and you've got that new Cafe Racer style seat on the 1200 and the fairing, and that's about all the differences.
Alright, so Andrew and I just got back on the Iron 1200 and the Iron 883, rode them both, and we've both ridden Sportsters many times, but it's always nice to kind of ride them fresh and give you a perspective based on having just ridden both of them. And Andrew's actually owned a 48 before, so I'm sure he'll comment on that a little bit, but my personal opinion, the Iron 1200, I mean, it is kind of a lot of what I expected. It's very similar in its handling and the suspension and everything to reviews I've done in the recent past. The suspension was upgraded in 2016, which makes it significantly better than the 2015s and older, with what Harley calls their premium ride shock. It's the coilover gas emulsion shock that's adjustable. But the 1200 definitely has more pep. Where that's going to benefit you the most, and where I felt like it benefited me the most, was getting on the freeway, really accelerating up to highway speed quickly, and just maintaining that speed on the freeway. Andrew didn't have the opportunity to ride the bike on the freeway, but he gave it some gas a couple different times on the surface streets, so I'm sure he can kind of comment on it as well. But yeah, I mean, the bike's kind of what we expected. It's basically an iron with a little bit more pep to it and some good urban ergonomics changes. I will say the bars I like a lot better. Just being taller, I'm 6'6" for those of you who haven't seen my videos before, but I like the bars and the seating position a lot better. The seat I like a little bit better. It has a little bit of a cup in the back to help you from sliding off the back of the bike. The paint I think is a lot better. I love the paint. I think they hit a home run with this style and just the look of it. And so yeah, I really like that. The fairing's cool. I mean, I would prefer it over no fairing, and I don't know if fairing's the right word. It's more of like a speed screen type of a little bikini fairing, like some people call it. So I don't know, what did you think, Andrew?
I think I agree with you 100%. I mean, it's literally an iron 1200. It's what you expect when you look at it. It's got more power than the Iron 883, obviously. I think the ergonomics feels better to me. The seat's a lot better. I love the paint, but it's exactly what I expected, and there's nothing wrong about that. I mean, it rides good. It has a lot more power than the 883, but I mean.
So yeah. you like the bars quite a bit better,
yeah.
In the seating position?
Yeah, it fits me a lot better. But yeah, it's got a lot of, I feel the power. Granted, it ain't going the freeway, but shifting gears a lot better mid-range power. But out of all the Sportster lineup, me personally, I like the Roadster. I like the performance-oriented Sportster. It has the inverted forks with a dual disc. But there's a big market for the 1200 iron because it has that blacked out look to it, and a lot of people think, they wish they made the iron in a 1200, and here it is. I mean, it's exactly what you come to expect.
Yeah, so you got about $1,000 upcharge on the 1200 iron. which if you tried to install, well not tried to, but if you had the 1200 big bore kit put into the Iron 883, I want to say with labor and everything, it's like a $3,000 to $3,500 upgrade. So you get the 1200 displacement for a lot more cost effective in this bike. So you said, Andrew, that you prefer the Roadster of all the Sportsters, which
I do. I've ridden the Roadster. I like how it handles. I love the suspension. I love the braking. The lean angle is a little better, and I like the cafe kit for it. And I think it's pretty cool. You don't see that often. So
yeah, the Roadster, I will say, is a lot better on the freeway than these as well. These bikes, and a lot of people ask me, what are the limitations on this bike as compared to like a Softail or something like that. And so I think the best way to describe that is, when you start going over bumpy roads, especially at higher speeds, something like a Softail is just going to be a lot more planted. As I was going down the freeway on this, it was kind of hopping around a little bit, and like I said, it's a lot better than the old suspension, the pre-2016 suspension, but these bikes just they don't feel as planted as like a Softail does. And even the Roadster has a lot more travel in the suspension, and so the Roadsters feel like they're a lot more capable up on the freeway at high speeds. So Andrew, you had a 48. How does this bike kind of compare to your 48 that you put? How many miles did you put on your 48?
I put about 6,000 miles on a 48. I like this bike better. The ergonomics is better. The reason why I got the 48, it wasn't my first bike, but I love the sound of the Evo motor. It's a very poppy, sporadic-y type, idle and rev. But the only thing why I got rid of it is just the gas tank was too small. But I love the way the big tire looks on that bike, and it's basically a bar hopper. But I was doing more longer distance rides, and I was getting about, with the Stage 1 kit, probably about 75 miles to a tank. So yeah, it didn't fit me anymore. I kind of grew out of it. So, okay. But as far as this bike, I love the tank size and the ergos to it. So, and I'd love to see someone deck it out and put different bars on it, and, more aggressive Z bars, and just go from there.
Yeah, it's a good starting platform for a custom bike, that's for sure. I mean, it already looks custom from the factory, which kind of seems like Harley-Davidson's doing more and more with like the blacked out parts. Of course, maybe in the future the blacked out parts will look stock and won't look custom anymore as more people get used to it, but who knows, we'll see. You do have more fuel capacity than the 48, obviously, like Andrew mentioned, 3.3 gallons on this as opposed to the 2.1 peanut tank on the 48. We're going to be reviewing the 48 Special as soon as we get one. I haven't gotten one yet, but we'll be checking that out. But to kind of address or to add to a point that Andrew was making as well, these Evolution engines in the Sportster, they're very much stereotypical Harley-Davidson. You can feel a living, breathing, mechanical engine under you, and so it feels very, very Harley. This bike, the frame that this bike is on, has a lot of aftermarket options for it as well. So the customization opportunities on this are pretty much second to no bike in the world. I mean, the Sportsters, you can do a lot of stuff too. There's a lot of aftermarket fitment stuff, and obviously Harley-Davidson has a ton of stuff in their catalogs as well that will fit this bike. So a lot of customization opportunities on this thing. And so yeah, overall I'm really impressed with it. I'm a little worried about the regular Sportster and how we're going to sell these now, because for $1,000 more you can get the 1200. Of course, maybe not everybody is looking for the taller handlebars, and maybe they're not looking for that style paint. And if you're not going to really be cranking on it and doing much freeway and stuff, I think I could probably argue that you don't need the 1200. But I think if you have any type of motorcycle experience, especially if you're coming off of other bikes, if you've been riding for more than 1 or 2, 3 years and you plan on getting out on the highway, I would definitely recommend the 1200cc.
I think the market's still going to be pretty strong on the 83 because it's still, you know, the entry-level bike to someone who's new to riding, and they come in the flat colors, and people really love the flat denim black.
That's a good point.
And yeah, I mean, to people that are new to riding, that's coming into the motorcycle world, and they hear 1200 cc's, 1000 cc's, it's kind of you know,
intimidating.
Intimidating. You know, and 883, it's, you know, I recommend it to a lot of people, and there's still a lot of people in the market looking for these all blacked out. You know, the denim paint really sells.
That's a good point. What'd you think of braking? I felt like the braking was pretty good.
Yeah, it was good. Nothing. I mean, feels the same braking on the 883.
Yeah, the braking's identical, but I feel like they upgraded the brakes. I want to say 2015 or 2016 model year, which made a big difference. Alright guys, so I'm here with Melinda, and this is kind of an impromptu thing that I don't do often, but she rode up on her Iron 883 that she purchased here, and so I thought she would be the perfect person to put in this video and kind of get her opinion on the bike. So let's start off, Melinda, with you just kind of introducing yourself about, you know, like how long have you been riding and what bikes have you owned?
Sure. My name's Melinda. I've been riding since 2015. My first bike was a Honda Rebel 2006, Honda 250. And then I think I switched over to an Iron. I came over here to test ride an Iron. I purchased my 883 in April 2017. It was an easy transition. The bike's really, you know, slimmer and slender, so it was like fit. It fit for me too, plus I'm a short person.
So you felt like the Iron 883 was an upgrade from the Honda Rebel?
Oh, definitely. Speed, style, just looks, it just fit my personality, so it was a perfect bike for me to transition over to move up to a higher level.
Okay. Very cool. So you just rode the Iron 1200 for the first time, and what were kind of your initial thoughts and impressions on the bike?
First off, I mean, it looks great. I'm already used to the whole, you know, black accents on the Iron, so I really like that. They haven't really changed much on that, except there's higher bars, there's the fairing, different color schemes for the gas can, and then there's like a different seat, and it's much more comfy. You know, as you know, the Iron has like a little forward sitting because of the bike handles. So this was a nice change. It sat very comfy for me.
So you liked the taller handlebars on this bike?
Definitely, it was something I was considering of possibly upgrading to. So now they came out with a 1200 Iron model with the higher handlebars. It made sense.
So you may just get a new bike instead of new handlebars?
I probably would, yeah. Instead of doing all the upgrades, I might just trade mine in and get a 1200.
So the seat you mentioned, did you like the seat better, or it was kind of the same as your current seat, or what?
I mean, obviously looks-wise, the seat looks different, but it definitely felt comfier for me. I'm not sure if it was because I was sitting upright and more straight, but it felt steadier, and you know, center of gravity was much better for me to handle. I was surprised because I thought it'd be like the way I was sitting, it would make me a little nervous for riding, but it was a nice ride for me today.
Okay. Were you able to notice the power increase of the 1200cc over the 883?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't have to really, you know, gear up that fast, so I could ride it out, you know, in lower gear, and it handled really well.
Okay. Very good. So how have you liked how long, you said you bought your Iron in 2017, so you've owned it for about a year now,
Yes.
a little over a year?
It's about a year now, so I actually got into a serious accident on my first Harley, so technically that's my second Iron, but it's the same exact model. It scared me for a little while to get back on the bike, but I really missed it, and I've made no regrets since of, you know, continuing on riding and making the same purchase. I've definitely increased my riding experience. You know, thanks to everybody here at Laidlaw's. Everyone's like family here.
Woo woo. Cool. So you got in an accident on your first Iron. And I remember that. I'm glad you're okay. And you came back and got the exact same bike, so you must have liked it then.
I definitely did, yeah.
And you're back still riding Harleys.
For sure.
Very, very cool. All right, thanks, Melinda. Any parting words on the Iron 1200 for people that are thinking about buying this bike? What kind of I guess last piece of information or advice would you give someone who's thinking about buying an Iron?
Yeah, if anybody's looking to upgrade, especially if they're in lower CCs and looking to move up, you shouldn't be afraid, especially on this model. I think it's a very smooth transition. You'll handle the power really nicely, and it's a safe ride, especially for the ladies out there too if they're looking to upgrade.
Sweet. Cool. Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching, guys. This concludes my 2018 Iron 1200 first ride and review. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you have an opinion on the format of these videos, please share them with me in the comments below. I'm trying to perfect my formula to really give you guys the information you need. I review every single Harley-Davidson model that comes out, so I want to give you guys, my viewers, the best information that you're looking for. And so please give me feedback on how I can improve my videos. And if I was able to help you out, please give me a thumbs up and like the video. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.